Week 17 Day 1. A plan to fool the Nazis. One of the truly remarkable stories of World War II concerns a ruse that was perpetrated with such consummate skill, that it saved the lives of many Allied troops and helped to shorten the war. The simple, bold, and ingenious subterfuge which British officers concocted, is the subject of Ewan Montagu's classic, The Man Who Never Was. In short, the idea was to plant fallacious documents concerning the Allied invasion of Europe upon a dead officer, have his body recovered by agents, who would transmit the false information to Germany, and then observe the effects of the plan. Sample sentences. 1. Because the inspector had given only cursory attention to the reports, I surmised that his conclusion would be fallacious. 2. Johnny Cochran, the famous and controversial lawyer, gave consummate attention to the preparation of every case. 3. It was necessary for the interloper to concoct a convincing story in order to gain access to the exhibit. 4. In order to perpetrate the swindle, the jaunty confidence man adopted an amorous approach toward the wealthy widow. 5. The experienced teacher realized that Ricky's stomachache was merely a subterfuge to keep him from taking the French test. Week 17 Day 2. Major Martin goes to war. After Commander Montagu and his colleagues had been given official approval for their dangerous escapade, they encountered manifold problems. First, they conducted an assiduous search for a body that looked as though it had recently been killed in an airplane disaster. Then, a detailed history of the man had to be invented that would be so impeccable that the enemy would accept its authenticity. This meant documents, love letters, personal effects, keys, photographs, etc. Each step was fraught with difficulty, but the schemers were unbelievably resourceful. As a result, in the late spring of 1942, Major Martin was prepared to do his part for his country. Sample sentences. 1. Burdened by her manifold responsibilities, the young executive was precluded from enjoying her new wealth. 2. Fear permeated the crippled airplane as the passengers realized that their situation was fraught with danger. 3. Although basically frugal, his taste in clothing is impeccable. 4. The store owner was resourceful enough to run a sale the day after his building had been razed by the flames. 5. Florence Nightingale was a paragon of mercy in her assiduous care for the wounded soldiers. Week 17 Day 3. The plot thickens. A submarine took the body out to sea. Then, Major Martin, the man who never was slid into the murky Atlantic waters off the coast of Huelva, Spain. Attached to this courier's coat was a briefcase that contained the components of the hoax. Shortly thereafter, the Spanish embassy notified the British that the body had been recovered. But Commander Montagu learned that the important documents had already been scrutinized and later resealed so that the British would not be suspicious. The secret information was transmitted to the German High Command, through a labyrinth of underground networks, to be evaluated. Now the true test of the months of assiduous planning would come. The question remained, would the Germans swallow the bait? Sample sentences. 1. The practical joker had the temerity to perpetrate a hoax upon the Dean of Boys. 2. A good motion picture producer should be skilled in all the manifold components of film making. 3. After wandering through the labyrinth, the young hero came face to face with the dragon who was indigenous to the caves. 4. When I asked the English teacher to evaluate my plan for the term paper, her incisive comments were very helpful. 5. The murky quality of the artist's latest painting is the antithesis of her former style. Week 17 Day 4. A puzzle for His Majesty. The conspirators had reason to exult, for all evidence attested to the fact that the German High Command was gullible about Major Martin. Their defense troops were moved away from the true invasion sites and deployed to areas that were inconsequential. Subsequently, when the actual attack took place, Allied casualties were minimized. After the war, Commander Montagu received a medal from the King of England. At the presentation ceremony, the King politely inquired where the young officer had earned his citation. At the Admiralty, Montagu replied, presenting the King with a genuine enigma. Sample sentences. 1. Explaining that the bookkeeper was merely a gullible dupe, the judge freed him from complicity in the crime. 2. As the audience watched the master deploy his chess pieces, they applauded his virtuosity. 3. An expert was summoned to attest to the authenticity of the Rembrandts found in the Nazi cache of stolen masterpieces. 4. When Osama bin Laden was killed, our public had reason to exult. 5. I could not solve the enigma of why an altruistic person should exhibit such cupidity.